Welcome everyone. Today is, I think it's January 14th, 2017 now. You guys are watching MogTalk. And today we will be discussing a pretty interesting topic about the Final Fantasy XIV creative community. If you guys haven't watched MogTalk before, it is a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community, and we discuss anything from raiding to chocobo racing to putting on productions in the game, which is absolutely amazing to think about. So today we will be interviewing a group that's been kind of on everybody's minds a little bit since New Year's, because they did a really interesting show around New Year's. The group is called, of course, Stage Reborn. Let's just real quick introduce everybody so you kind of know who we have on the show. First, Tsudin, you mind telling everybody kind of who you are and what you do?
Hello, I'm Tsudin Everrest. I am a board of directors on A Stage Reborn, and I also handle the lights and orchestrion for Canary.
Beautiful. Sora?
Hi, I'm Soaranzia Furtuna. I handle a lot of the back of the line type stuff. Also, kind of like the treasurer, but not officially. But we'll get there maybe.
Okay. And then we got Wanderer.
Hey, I'm essentially the founder, and my technical title is the chair of the board of directors. I organize and kind of put this whole project together.
Excellent. These guys are absolutely amazing. If you guys have seen the most recent performance, just looking at it, I'm kind of absolutely amazed how much work you guys had to put into that. But this is a very, very interesting concept to kind of have what you guys are doing in the video game right now, because does anyone else do this? Does anyone else put on productions? Have you heard of anyone else doing this?
Yeah, actually.
Really?
Oh yeah, there are a couple other servers, but I think we started it all.
Oh,
I'd like to think we started it all.
We're the big boys. Everyone else is just kind of over there on the side, a little tiny. No.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I've seen and heard has been like, say, like the role-playing communities on Balmung putting on shows. But I mean, what we do on the scale of what we do, nobody else is doing that in game at this time.
Yeah, at least I haven't heard of them, and you guys have been heard of doing it, so I would assume that you guys are the big boys doing this right now. I guess that's a dumb way to say it, but I'm going to say it anyways. Anyways, guys, today again is going to be a creative show. We're highlighting this wonderful group here, and we have a lot to talk about, and I want to just kind of investigate who you guys are as an organization, and that's pretty much it. And we'll see. I hope you guys are interested in that too. It will not be a hardcore rating show. We are not discussing why paladins are better than the rest of the jobs in the game. We'll be discussing something else today. Do you guys have a lot of opinions on actual rating and things like that?
I don't
literally
There you go.
I literally used to main paladin and gave it up in like 3.2. So I have some words for you.
You guys, you chumped out. Is what happened. You chumped out, dude.
I chumped out just as soon as the bit changes came in too. So it's like I chumped out at the worst possible time.
All right. Well, let's get into it, actually, guys. Let's do an explanation of what A Stage Reborn is. If you guys could give me more details, just kind of on that, and whoever you feel would be best at explaining that. I think Wanderer.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
So we're a community organization dedicated to creative gaming and the arts. We started in 2015 actually, and as a way to bolster creative content through doing meaningful and worthwhile ways to give back to the community through doing giveaways, running creative contests, and also ultimately doing theatrical performances and other productions in game. We're not a free company or a role-playing group. We're literally just a community organization of people banding together to kind of take content creation into our own hands where the developers have left us off.
Okay. That's a perfect explanation for what you guys do. Are you guys going to get into, you know, they're adding lots of these filters and everything for the game, which is really amazing for, like, video production. And I just kind of thought of this out of nowhere here. You guys do mainly... Well, what do you do besides live stage performance?
We're also working on video performances.
Okay.
Things we released the video a little while back, kind of a test run of just some editing, kung fu fighting. It's on our YouTube channel, and so we've been kind of looking at creative projects, music videos like that we can do. But we are currently in the writing and planning phase for a machinima that we plan on starting filming later this year.
Okay, excellent. That's exactly what I wanted to know, is if you guys were going to venture into machinima, because that's
absolutely. I
feel like that's going to take a really huge turn here with the new patch that they're putting in with all the different filters. You're going to be able to do a lot of stuff with it. So, perfect. You also said something that interested me a little bit in our pre-show conversation, was that you said you had someone that came on stage and they were doing their own skits. So you host like community events for people to come up and do their own thing too, right?
Yeah, what we do too is because you can't just like teleport the entire team and everything between servers to do this kind of stuff. So often we'll have people that come to us and they say, hey, we're running an event for our free company, or hey, I want to do something on our server. Can you come consult us? Can you help us out? And we actually, if you go on Lodestone and you character search Stage Reborn, we're on every single North American server and a handful of the European and Japanese data center servers. And we basically make ourselves available to those who also want to get involved in doing, creative stuff.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to actually take this over to other two guests here real quick. I want you guys to kind of say how you joined the team and how that even started out, because I'm really, really interested in that. And then I want to get the origin story of the entire thing from Wonder here at the end. But Sora, how did you come to join the team?
I've been basically a part of it since we first started everything. We are unofficially known as Promethean Stage a while back, and I was part of that free company that I had founded with Wanderer and a couple other people. It was initially it was supposed to be for a small group of friends, but then I had to lose my sub because I needed the money. So I took a couple years break, and then when I came back, that's pretty much when all this started up.
A couple of years is a long time, man. That's an entire expansion.
Yeah, I think I last stopped playing before Ninja got released in the game, so I had quite a lot of content to get back through. But
Jesus Christ! Well, I'm glad you're back.
You too.
Tsudin, when did you come to join the team?
So, it was a dark night in the Golden Saucer, and I was turning in my tickets, and there was this crazy guy with the party finder advertising he was giving away millions of Galen prizes. And obviously, I mean, if you see that, surely it's going to pique your interest.
Right.
So I messaged him, and instead of being greedy, because I really wanted those prizes, I decided to contribute a couple prizes myself. And in order to get like some screenshots for the website, Wanderer hosted like a 10 million gil giveaway at the theater that had set up in the basement of the Promethean FC. And
this is kind of creepy. She's like, hey, you want to come up in the basement?
Yeah, you want to come into our basement?
We'll give you some prizes.
We'll give you 10 million gil. Just come into our basement. But
also just discovered the housing capacity limit.
Yes, so many people showed up. We learned that there is a capacity of about 100 people can be inside of a house before no one else can enter. And we all were like, holy crap, this is a lot of people. And I think that was around the time Wonder was like, okay, I can't do this alone. And so he reached out for ushers and event coordinators and stuff like that. People will just kind of, as we say in the background, and we love all of you guys, don't take this the wrong way, just to herd the cats.
Keep all the cats from going crazy.
Exactly.
You can't really herd cats too well. As the phrase is coined, you're trying to herd a couple of cats. That's basically what I feel like I'm doing with my raid group every day. It's just saying, guys. Anyways, Wanderer, you formed this whole community that you have right now with a Stage Reborn, right? You kind of started.
Yep.
Okay. So what was going through your head when you said, hey, I want to create this creative community, and you might not have had it named a Stage Reborn, but we'll just say a Stage Reborn. You wanted to create something like a Stage Reborn. What was like the trigger in your head that said, hey, I'm going to do this?
Well, it was actually a player-made event that I attended just before Halloween in 2015 on the Diablo server. There's a free company, Orion, and they did Halloween costume contests. Or I guess I don't know if this they did the year before, but they were doing a costume contest, and I saw it in like Party Finder. I showed up. I think I got like third prize or something. I won some amount of gil from it. And it was a lot of fun, and a decent amount of people showed up. And then I was just like, okay, well, this is fun. Let's see if anybody else is doing it. Oh, look, Party Finder. There's another one. One of the players of our server, Pomegranate Surprise, was doing another costume contest. So I was like, okay, this is really, I'm kind of bored with the content in the game. So this is something that is, keeping me interested. So I want to do this. So my girlfriend and I put together a costume and skit where I used the chef outfit and she used the chocobo outfit, and I chased her around because I was trying to cook her, and we ended up getting winning a prize in that. And I was just like, when I played 11, I got so burnt out on end game content. And when I joined 14, I was, in 2.0, I was, kind of hardcore Paladin Raider a lot. And I kind of started getting burnt out. And I was just like, this isn't how I want to spend my time playing something that's supposed to be fun. I miss things like this, the community events, the creativity that made games truly worth playing. And then and then Halloween ended. And it was like, okay, nobody's doing anything anymore. So now I have to wait till the next holiday. This should be something that occurs regularly. So that's when we started Promethean Stage. And I was just like, we can, there's so many things creatively that people are doing. Transformation macros, costume glamours. You can do skits in the game with emotes and movement and abilities. And I'm like, let's get the community together to do this. Mm-hmm. And it was really successful. And the more we did, and, of course, we did a lot of like big prize things early on because there were people who were really interested in what we did, but they would always, give the excuse, oh, I'm not creative enough, or it's not really worth it to play the game. I've got weeklies I got to do. So why should I go? It's fun, but why should I go? Mm-hmm. And we're like, okay, let's throw in a ton of prizes. Give away some days 20 to 30 million prize packages at some of our events. We're like, let's give away these giant prizes to be like, what? No, it is worth it to go to these events, not just for how fun it is, but we'll make up for the time that you have to spend here. So, so as we did that, everything we'd get more and more patrons. Our events would get bigger. We'd get more contestants at things, and they kind of just went off from there.
That's pretty crazy, man. So you've been doing this for about over a year and a half, seriously, right?
Yeah, our technical founding was October 2015. So
2015, so a year and 3 months, right? If my math is right. Okay. So that's pretty awesome, dude. I just thinking about that and going in there and exploring this extra aspect of the game that isn't there. It's not created by Square Enix. They're not like, hey, go out there and be creative. But you guys want to be creative, so you just go out there and do it. Do you guys have any kind of experience with doing anything like this? Were you guys in like any kind of acting classes? Did you guys do any kind of other performance in like real life or anything like that? Tsudin, do you want to start that?
I do not, but you picked the best people to ask that question, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you hand it off to someone else.
Okay, I got it. I'm gonna go to Sora.
Well, this kind of goes for me and Wanderer. We were both theater majors in college. That's actually how I initially met him. Mm-hmm. I'm a theater tech, so I did a lot of sound, and we were required to act in some of the things, and we had to do all sorts of things like directing, and so we got a pretty good handle of how the theater world was. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not really something I'm doing right now, except in this game, which is kind of nice, but
yeah.
So
you've seen it before. You've done
experience.
It before. Yeah, okay. So it kind of makes sense to you. And Tsudin, I'm going to come back to you. So Tsudin, you said you have absolutely zero experience, right?
Yes, absolutely zero. I think the most I've probably done is like a play back in school when I was like 6 that I don't even remember. So I'm just
I did one of those
maybe.
too. I was in a play that I had one line in that I don't remember at all when I was like 6 years old or something similar to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we're about on the same level here. I mean, you control the music though, right?
Yeah, I handle the orchestrion and lights for Canary and potentially for our upcoming play as well.
Which is actually a pretty intense thing for me to think about, just because you have to have proper timing with that stuff. And I was watching, the Canary show, and the version I watched, of course, seemed that the lighting and the music was kind of on point. Did you have any hiccups during that show on any of the performances?
Oh man, why you gotta call me out?
Just saying, man. Did you have a lot of issues with it? I didn't see it.
I had 2 blips in one show where I will admit I got distracted. I have no excuses except my own just stupidity of not paying attention. It was the second day. It was like the third of 4 shows or whatever, and I was just like, I was tired, and I was just let myself get distracted.
Okay.
But I had 2 blips where I didn't lights up in time during one scene. It was delayed by like 10 seconds, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when it's only a 20-minute play and people are on stage trying to do stuff and the lights are not up, that's a problem. And I delayed one song by during scene 4, there's a transition from Serenity to Twilight Over Thenland, and Serenity starts off with this piano melody, and then it turns into like, what is it, one or flutes or something?
Clarinet. And
you're supposed to switch over to Twilight Over Thenland before the clarinet, and I timed it. It's 40 seconds from when I hit Serenity to when I have to hit Twilight Over Thenland. I had my phone, I hit the timer, I hit go, and it's like, I look at my timer, it's 52 seconds, I'm listening to clarinet, I'm like, oh god, no, did I really do this? And I switch it over.
So that was just one of those, right? Did you do that? Did you have a lot of mistakes on some of the other ones too, or was it just that one that you just kind of got worn out on?
Oh no, that was the only show that I had any major blips on. Anything else might was just like half-second delays. One of the issues with that a lot of people don't realize is like if you interact with multiple parts of the housing at once, like for instance, we also had stage light operators. If one of the stage light operators would hit their stage light as soon as I went to go change the song would error, and I would have to like quickly go back into the menus and queue up that song again because it wouldn't stick. Same with the house lightings. So there were like a couple instances of that, but they were like split second to like at most 2-second delays. And that just comes down to the game like limitations. There's literally nothing we could do about that.
So that sounds actually really good. How many performances I can just sit there and do that with my tongue all day. How many performances did you guys actually have for the show?
We had 4 on the first day and I believe 4 on the second day, so 8 total over the 2 days.
That's not bad for the blips that you had. Wonder, how do you feel about Tsudin's performance?
Oh, he's fired.
Oh, okay.
No, just kidding.
Fair enough.
No, blips happen. You can't. It's even the same in the real world. I mean, things happen, and whether or not it's you lose focus or a technical issue arises, you learn and you work with it. There wasn't anything catastrophic. We had a disconnect during one of our shows, and that didn't even really faze us. I mean, a lot of it was just preparing for everything.
Right.
So issues like that, even if they seem like they can be an issue, are not.
Mm-hmm.
I also just want to say nobody noticed. The only one that Wanderer noticed was the clarinet. He heard the clarinet for a second. He's like, "Oh, it's no big deal." I was like, when I did the first lighting blip, I was like, "Oh shit!" And like everyone's like, "What happened? What's going on?" It's like, y'all didn't notice? Like, no, what's going on? It's like nothing happened. No,
it's all good, man. It's all good. Wonder, when the show's happening, are you just kind of managing everything? What's your main role when most shows are happening?
I'm the guy that juggles everything. So while I was doing Canary, I was streaming and doing the emote and scene in the battle scene on Queen Braun. I was doing the House Left spotlight on Wanderer Sabaku, and then I was also on stage acting as King Leo.
Okay. Well, so you actually, holy crap. I would say I would just do the streaming and then everyone else has to kind of do stuff. And if they do something wrong, you yell at them. And that would be kind of what you would do. But you're actually out there doing a little bit of performing yourself, actually.
Yeah. I know King Leo had, I think, 15 macros as far as all of his lines and scenes combined. But I mean, a lot of the issue too is, I mean, it's one thing to put on an awesome production, but it's another thing to go out into the community and say, you know, hey, who is free and willing to commit to doing this?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the times, you know, we'll have a smaller crew of people. I think Canary was only 15 people. And a lot of times you have to, you know, make sacrifices and double up on roles. Luckily, multi-boxing is something I'm really good at from my Final Fantasy 11 days. So this was kind of like a different version of doing that.
Right. So I guess here's we got you three on the show. Here's another question I have. How many people were a part of making that show happen?
Oh, I feel really bad now because I'm gonna have to like count them on my hand.
Well, I mean, can you count up? Is it more than 10 or less than 10?
I mean, I can pull open our credits list and read the list off.
So
I'm totally not doing that right
now. If you had to give an estimate right now, how many people were working on the show to make it happen?
It's definitely like at least a solid 15, and that doesn't include community members and people that have like, you know, help sharing the word out there. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, it's you know, but as far as like the core cast and crew that were in the theater working on the show, running the production, it was a solid 15 or so.
That's pretty good. If you guys can, because I was watching it, all right, and it's going through, and I saw little fireworks shooting up, and I'm guessing, do you have Lalas just sitting under the stage and they're just shooting fireworks up? Is that what they do?
I think only one of them was a Lalafell, but no, they hid behind certain parts of the stage that were masked, mm-hmm. So that way the firework animation would show up on the other side, and they'd be like hiding on the other side of a partition or something. Okay. And that was all the actors and everything, like, you know, King Leo, Blank, the Pluto Knights, Swords and Arrow Twins. It was all the actors doing that were the ones also doing the fireworks.
Oh wow. So these guys are really multitasking. I know they're not typing everything out because that would be absolutely insane to have them typing back and forth. So you got macros going on at the same time. They're timing that, then they're throwing down fireworks and other kinds of special effects that, you know, you can easily create within the game because we have all of these holiday things that the Square Enix team likes to give us. Just out of curiosity, how many of the holiday items or items do you guys use to create effects within the show? Like how many different ones?
A lot. We have for this show in particular, we used Bombard Blooms. And then we used the Meteor Shower and Meteor Survivor fireworks. Now, as far as future shows and, you know, just generally stocking up for special effects, I think I have nearly 2,000 of each firework in retainers.
Nice. So what I'm doing right now is I'll every once in a while I'll go up to the market board and I'll see what kind of items are actually being sold on there. And if all these like little firecrackers or things are sold for 1 gil, I'll like buy them all up because I love just throwing them off in raid, or, you know, shoot them off in middle raid because it's better than just kind of standing there. And 1 gil is nothing, right? Do you guys spend a lot of money on it, or is it pretty cheap?
It's I'm sure Tsudin can talk a bit more about the Tsudin, and Sor can also, you know, attribute to how much has gone into it. But I know I didn't add up how much we've spent on it, but it's in just running all the events and things we do, it's been hundreds of millions of gil. Okay. I mean, right now we kind of have a pool that we vote and allocate towards different events and stuff, and that's sitting at 60 million right now. And then I don't know if any of you guys want to talk about the numbers as far as like things we've spent. And
Sora, do you know the numbers?
Oh, we go all the way back because we had to buy the theater first off, so that was a 50 mil right there. Okay. And then we got all the little furniture pieces you need to buy, and people like to overcharge those, myself included. But but I've personally been putting 50% of my earnings into the fund for it that I get off the market board or when I sell my furniture that I make.
So you're a crafter who makes lots
yes.
of money, and then you take half of that and you put it into the show. Okay.
And that's pretty much the only thing I do. But yeah, I can't really give a rough number right now because we didn't actually start tracking it until Canary was going to be starting in a couple weeks. That's when I was like, you know what, someone really needs to start keeping track of all this stuff.
So like a month ago.
Yeah. So I've been tracking it pretty religiously ever since then. But so next show I might be able to give you a better factor with that.
All right, then you can tell me exactly how much that show costs to do, guild wise.
Yeah, we're all like really rich crafters and really broke because of Wander. Gotta throw that in there.
Yeah.
We've there's a number that Wander likes to throw around just because of how big it is. In our year and 3 months, we've given away over 500 million gil worth of items.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. You guys just produce this because you all craft all day. That's how you produce all this skill, right?
Before I even started a Stage Reborn, what is rating? My end game is my savage content is 4-star crafts, 3-star crafts, whatever the highest end crafting stuff is.
Nice. Okay. Just speaking of that, I mean, you guys are from Diablos, right?
Correct.
Which is kind of odd to think about it, because when people think of any kind of creative community or anything else, everyone's assuming Balmung, I'm assuming.
Yes,
I'm assuming
Balmung.
someone's assumption, but... So you guys are doing this, and Diablos is not a big server, is it?
Well, it is now after the show.
Okay.
Yeah, we a lot of people made characters on it.
Really?
I think somebody recently did a tally. I think it's like 11th in population on Primal, or I don't know if that's Primal or just the like North American data clusters altogether.
Yeah. Well, I always thought Diablos was kind of like a smaller server overall. And so it's kind of insane to think that you guys would create a community kind of there to do that, because it wouldn't, I just can't imagine it thriving, because you wouldn't have enough people to make it thrive. But you guys do a pretty good job, obviously.
There's always rough patches, but we've pretty much gotten past a lot of those. But
okay.
Never know what to expect, but we're still keep on keeping on.
So how many people have come to the server? You said some people have started coming to the server now. Like, how many people have come and said, "Hey, I've come to this server because of your show"?
Well, remember when Wander was talking about how everyone made an alt in here into our free company, where we went from about 30 members to about 200 members.
Right.
Some of them still aren't logging on, like we said, but a lot of them are. And then I'm always seeing stuff on the Facebook group and like, oh, I got to make a character there. I got to make a character there. One of the alts I made for New Year's Eve, I made the St. Nicholas alt. That was me. But it took me 2 hours to get him into the server of clicking that dang refresh button over and over and over again.
Jeez.
I've got a count here actually.
Okay.
And I said this to you earlier before the show started, how we use the free company as a way to kind of just have people join it as a guest to the server. You know, people who make alts just to come see the shows and stuff.
Right.
And so we have a specific rank set up for that. So I make sure to keep it separate from people who are in the free company to actually use it like a free company. Mm-hmm. And so the people who I was able to get into the free company, that is at 197 visitors.
Oh, wow.
And that is not alts. Those are all individual people. We have we separate alts. So these are all it's 197 people that actually created a character on Diabolos to come see the show.
Wow, that's pretty awesome, man. Like, if you guys keep it up, and you say Diabolos and I say Diablos,
there's an extra O in there. I don't know.
But I'm gonna say Diablos because I can't get away from it.
And I say Diabolos.
Diablos. No, we can go all day on that.
I see
one.
Diablos too.
All right, there we go. So, do you guys think that maybe this server can be the new center point for a creative community in Final Fantasy 14?
I strongly believe that. I mean, you look at, whenever you talk about a big server, everyone says Gilgamesh and Balmung,
right? And
that's the Aether data center. And there, I mean, we've spent a lot of time and effort establishing what we have here on our server, and every subscription level lets you make an alt, and so we figure there's no real reason to move, and we think that hey, make this our server can just be a community for people to come together for casual play, for events and whatnot. So we kind of have that stance that, hey, let's make our server a populated place for people to just have fun and enjoy.
Well,
not to mention the pain that it would incur just to move all of this. The mansion alone cost us 137 mil back in the day, because back then mansions were 81 mil once they've been relinquished, and they want to be paid for relinquishing it. Please, no.
Yeah, just stay. You guys are doing a pretty good job over there. I don't think you need to move anywhere. You guys are obviously building up the community over there a little bit, which is impressive for anybody to really say that you're building some sort of community on the server away from just a normal raiding community, which I don't think the raiding community is that huge over there either, is it? You guys wouldn't know, right?
No, actually, that's one. You mentioned that Diablos is kind of a small server, and as somebody who, outside of the Stage Reborn, as a player on Diablos, we've been bleeding raiders left and right. Just they're going to Sargatanas, they're going to Gilgamesh, they're going anywhere but Diablos. Just recently, we had one of the bigger raiding groups just be like, okay, screw it, we're leaving. And it's just been a constant thing. We've been hemorrhaging hardcore raiders for a long time. So
yeah,
that's why I think all of us here are really hoping that a Stage Reborn really does give it that boost as being a center for creativity on the North American data center.
Yeah, one of our.
But
go ahead. Sorry.
There is raiding. I'm probably the only person in Stage Reborn that gets into current Savage content. There are raiders on Diablo. There, as somebody in Twitch chat said, there are dozens of us.
Yeah.
But dozens of us, not hundreds of us.
Right. It's kind of funny because one of the people who comes on the show often, Ark, he was from Diablos, and he was a hardcore creator. I would say pretty hardcore, in my definition of it at least. He was there, and then eventually he said, hey, we want to go somewhere where it's easier for us to raid, and that's the only reason he left. And of course, he went to Gilgamesh, but he felt, I think, that he wanted to raid kind of hardcore casually, and you can't really do that on Diablos. You can only really do that on Gilgamesh or Balmung or a highly populated server, which is all going to change in 2 days, right?
Hopefully, because unless you have a static, unless you just spend weeks reaching out trying to get random people to get that 8-man for your static, which who knows if that static is actually going to clear content, you're not going to get a group unless you go out and do that. Even now, when with the rush of people trying to gear up for Zervon, for instance, you see party finders oh, I need my A10S clear. You still get party finders for people wanting to clear A10S, A9S, A11S, but you'll see them, and then you'll go away, and you'll come back 2 hours later, and that party finder's still there, and it's gotten maybe 2 more people, but it still needs 4 to fill up, and it's
yeah.
It is not super. You just got to raid finder it a lot of times, which kind of sucks because we all know how a raid finder is.
Yeah.
4 hours later, hey, pop.
Yeah. You can try it on Tuesdays, and sometimes you can get something out of it, but I think that's the only day that you might be able to get anything out of raid finder. But anyways, off that topic, completely not the show topic. We're doing a different side of Final Fantasy.
Who cares about raiding?
Yeah, who cares about raiding? What's raiding, right? Yeah. I want to get in a little bit to the planning of the show, because I have to imagine it's not something you can just throw together and just make it work like I do every single time I do a MogTalk. I just throw it together and you make it work. But you guys probably have to do a lot of work behind it. How much time investment do you guys normally put before the show actually goes live?
I would say it depends on who, and it can really vary. For example, we run it like you would expect a regional theater to be run. We have, we get a cast together, we organize their schedules, we set up rehearsal blocks, we rehearse the scenes, then eventually we get to a point where we're just rehearsing run-throughs of the show. But there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that goes on. I mean, it's a real theater. We have to, look at the script. We have to look at, timelines. We have to set up deadlines. We have to do set design, costume design. We have to work on promotion. There were some times where, I would be on a break from law school and I'd be like, yay, I have a week off or something. But instead I was spending 40 hours during that week prepping for show related things. And so, overall, a lot of man hours go into setting up what we do. Okay.
If you had to give me kind of an estimate date on when you started planning your last show, when did you start planning it before the show actually happened?
The idea to do I Want to Be Your Canary became official as of, I want to say March, was it?
March? Okay.
There, yeah.
So we're looking at 9 months before the show actually happened?
Pre-production, like really, really pre-production,
right.
Just like getting everything
together. From rehearsals, the full cast wasn't set until like November 1st or so, and that was the point where we started, the actual piecing together of the product itself, the show, and so that was from November up to the performance date.
All right, so that was maybe 2 months of actual, building up and making the show happen. And you had, before that, 7 months of just kind of idea throwing around, right?
A little more than idea throwing around. We had to, like, when you play the Canary cutscenes in Final Fantasy IX, it's not a full play. The play gets interrupted, and then the part of the play is at the end of the game. So we had to go through and, watch the cutscenes, play the game, and write an adaptation that we could do in about, 20 minutes. And then we had to sit there and, kind of separate all the lines into scenes that can be macroed. We had to, like I said, figure out the costumes and look at the character models and try and get, something close enough to represent that character rather than just slap on random glamours. Then, and then there was also things like, picking out orchestrion tracks, because none of the music from 9 is in 14, so we had to figure, okay, what music best represents this scene. So a lot of it was a huge amount of just research and writing.
Well, Jesus, do you have people who are dedicated to just working on the I guess the glamour, and one person working on music, or is it just a mix of you guys all working together on it?
For Canary, for the most part, I handled all of that. But in the future, we are looking at, delegating that to others through time.
Okay. So Soar might be over there getting everyone's glamours together for the next show. Okay.
Yeah, actually, I'd made a lot of the audience members show attendance glamour, because they were all alts. They were all level 1. They had nothing. So I was like, so I just made a whole bunch of free glamours to give out. We had a bunch stored up in the company chest that Wander had contributed and other people had contributed, but because I wanted everyone to look nice.
Did a good job.
They all bad, and then I was like, sure, I'll give you a free high house set. Why not?
Right.
I did a lot of high house sets apparently, but
yeah, and that's not completely cheap, but luckily you're a crafter, so it all works out. And as a reminder, guys, everyone in the chat, if you do have questions for a show, I'm sorry, I forgot to even say this earlier. We do have Kurara, who's in the chat, who will actively collect your questions, and we can pull them and ask them at the end of the show, or however you would want to do that too. I mean, you might be able to trick some of the guests here to kind of answer them before that point too. But if you want to, just feel free to ask whatever questions you want, and we'll collect it. If you want to ask about what kind of vegetables they like. If you want to ask questions about Sora's hat or his beard, that's completely applicable as well. Or just questions about the show and the production. Feel free to. And we'll come back to that around the end of the show again, and we'll start going through those questions. Going forward with this, though, that's pretty intense to think that you guys have to go through all these different little motions, and then after the show's done, how do you guys feel? After spending all that time on it, are you just like, all right, bye show, forget about you, post it up, and I'm just away from it now?
Yeah, it's exhausting, and I know we had a couple of our board members that were also involved in the play. One of them, she took a full week off. She's just like, I need a week to relax, because it's been, super hectic. We also, the fact that our turnout was so huge compared to what we thought it would actually be, a lot of us were just tired, so we were just like, we're taking time off before we dive back in, for the next project. But it's one of those, it's just one of those things. Some people like me just keep working even though they say they're taking time off.
Yeah, a day later, Wander was working on the next show.
I mean, and that's kind of something that happens when you get into that kind of mindset. You have something you're kind of passionate about, and you're like, hey, I'm vacationing. Man, I got this idea, though. This is going to be fun. Don't worry. I'm just going to sit here, and I'll just type up a few things. You just keep going, and you keep going, and the next thing you know, you have a whole layout for the next show you're going to do. I'm assuming that might be how it goes, Wander. Am I off on that?
I mean, we kind of started planning for things closer to when the show was about to go up, just so we want to make sure that we keep having content on the plate to dish out, so it wasn't one of those things where we're going to take a break and then wind up to a new project. We already had projects lined up on the table. Okay. But we make sure to schedule some relaxation time, because it's hectic, it's busy, it's like a real job, and you got to take a break.
I actually have some input on that too.
Okay.
Prior to Canary, we did this haunted house event, which, considering what the actual Halloween events by Square Enix was, haunted house, it was very, very awkward. But we didn't actually have a location for that, because the main theater was obviously set up for Canary, and we didn't want to tear it down and build it back up. So I offered my personal plot as the place for the haunted house. And I was like, okay, Wander, you're a tenant. Go nuts. I've recorded what all furniture I had and where it was, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to sleep. Go nuts, have fun. And I wake up. I go to sleep and I wake up and he's still up working on it. And I go in and it's like 80% done, if not almost complete. And I'm like, did you even go to sleep? No, not yet. It's like, he gets started on a project, and if it's in his head, he's working on it. I honestly believe there is no break time for Wander. We have to reach out and be like, okay, Wander, put the mouse and keyboard down, put the controller down, go sleep, have some coffee, eat.
Hey, go drink some coffee and then go to sleep, right?
There are some interventions we need to take part in at times.
Wander, do you know you have this issue? That you have an addiction here?
I am horribly in denial of this addiction, and I say that it is a good thing that I need to keep doing. Clearly. Okay. At least, thank goodness, I have them to tell me when to shut things off. I swear, if they lived with me, they would probably just unplug my computer and be like, you sleep now.
Yeah, then you're in the middle of typing something you didn't save, unplug the computer, and then you just take the keyboard and start bashing their heads in. Yeah, I can see how that works.
I can see it too. The coffee's for when it's class time, though. It's not like coffee and sleep. It's okay, you should have slept 8 hours ago. You have class in 2 hours. Go drink some coffee. Stop what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I am a full-time law student, and I graduate and I take the bar this summer. So, I mean, as much as I do work, I do. I mean, even though I might shut everything off and it stays in my head, I do take time to decompress, make sure all my readings and casework and work with clients at my clinics are, I'm responsible, but I do have this overworking habit.
And sleep is something that sometimes just becomes part of the schedule too, right? Every once in a while.
Much.
Okay. As long as you can get the sleep, you should be okay. Eventually, you'll start hallucinating, and that doesn't help out too much. But get some sleep, dude.
They're super fun, though.
Maybe, or terrifying. I mean, however you want to say it. Insomnia hallucinations are not fun. Huh?
Sometimes they even have dreams about ASR.
Oh, God, yeah.
No, I think Tsudin's the one who's had the most dreams.
Oh, my gosh. So you go to sleep and you're done with a performance and you're just like, all right, now I'm going out on stage. Oh, why are the lights down? Oh, what's going on? It's like, I'm on the stage now. What's going on? I'm not supposed to be acting. I'm supposed to just do the lights. And then you just have this whole nightmare about how all the roles are completely reversed and you don't know what's happening. Is that kind of what happens, Tsudin?
Nah. The worst ones. There are ones like that, but the worst ones are like, oh, it's showtime. Nobody is here.
Oh.
Not nobody in the audience. Nobody who's supposed to be here to act is here.
Oh, okay. I don't think...
That's the scariest part.
You're out there on your own, and yeah, I don't think Wonder would ever let that happen, ever. Probably safe on that. All right. Have you guys ever had to... So let's actually talk about that a little bit. I want to get into possible issues you guys had. One of the biggest issues you guys had was... not the biggest. It wasn't really that big of a deal, like you said, but you had a technical issue where someone got disconnected, right? In your most recent show. And so how many of those... Like, what's the worst issue you guys have had?
I think that was the worst issue, and so yeah, I mean, luckily we
like in all of your shows.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that was the worst issue we've ever had to tackle.
Okay.
I don't know if
I want to chime in with what I think is the worst issue we've ever had to tackle.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Back when we did skit performances and stuff like that, like, you don't really think about it, but there are a lot of people who actually experience stage fright, even in a video game. And so they're like, oh, I don't want to sign up for this. So the biggest problem we've had to tackle, especially when we first started, was getting people to actually register so that people have a show to watch. Because you're sitting there. I was event coordinator, so I was registering people and navigating them on and off stage for all those. And it's like, okay, we've got 3 prizes. We got a first, second, and third place prize, and there's 2 people registered to go on and act. And there's like 10 minutes before we're supposed to close up registration and get everything situated. So it's like, it's like
usually
5 minutes left. 5 minutes left. We've got like 40 people down there wanting to watch a show, and there's 3 people registered. Oh, we're closing. There's 4 people registered, and all of a sudden, like, we extend by like 10 minutes, and it's like, okay, now we've got 7 to 10 people. We're good. So luckily, it's a problem that never actually fully manifested because we took care of it.
So it's like
that's probably what's worse.
Just getting people out there to produce the content on these kind of random nights where you're just pulling people from, that are showing up saying, hey, I volunteer to go out there and just kind of do a little skit or something. Right?
Yeah. Like getting people to build up the courage to actually go out and do it was surprisingly, like, it's something you don't really think was going to be an issue, but it actually is an issue. But other than that, yeah, for like actual problems we've had to deal with, the disconnect is probably like our biggest one.
So I think I was watching when that happened, and so when that happened, do you just say, hey, guys, technical difficulties, and you just stop? And you say, just hang tight and just go with it?
Yeah, I mean, that was the first time that ever happened. And so I quickly sent out a broadcast in chat telling the people attending the show that there's been a disconnect. So we're holding the scene. Then I quickly tell all the actors and crew, basically freeze in place and wait for my next word. And then I took our senior members, like the board of directors, I pulled them into a private chat in Discord, and I said, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna wait a bit. We're gonna see, we got in touch with the person who was disconnected, and we were like, okay, they resolved it. They're logging back in. We're gonna, talk them through logging in and stuff, because they were nervous, of course. Mm-hmm. And so, we're gonna calmly make sure that they get logged back in, get the camera set back up, get the character in place, confirm completely that camera and actor are in place and ready to re-begin, and then I will call for the scene to begin again, and we'll just go as if it didn't happen. And that's what we did, and it worked beautifully.
That's perfect in the moment troubleshooting. So good job on that, by the way. It seems like there's no other good
right between scenes. Like it was just a scene had just ended, and it was before the next scene was beginning.
Oh, okay.
So luckily, it wasn't like in the middle of the scene, at least as far as I know. I was watching the stream at the time.
So I guess another question to kind of feed off that is like, what's your biggest fear during a show that you feel would be like a critical failure that you're worried that will happen and that you're trying to plan a solution for it before it even happens?
I can answer this because I do have this worry all the time. We don't control Square Enix maintenance. And I was worried with Heaven's Turn and 3.5 stuff coming up soon that one day after promoting the show dates religiously that Square Enix would go, oh, we're going to have maintenance on December 30th through 31st in, preparation for patch 3.5 mid-January. And sorry, a Stage Reborn, you have to change your show because you have to. I mean, we had people, we confirmed that everybody was free that day. Some people went to work to their boss to say, hey, I need these 2 days off because I have to do, it's a major production. I'm dedicated to it. I just need 2 days off. And then to have to go through and redo all that, re-promote new dates. And I mean, it wouldn't have been like a show ending issue, but it would have been super stressful to deal with.
Because you would have to move everything, like try to quickly convince hundreds of people that it was on a different day. I mean, that's my biggest worry for the future. We're pretty vigilant though, keeping an eye on updates, things that go on during holidays and stuff. We try and make it so that way we perform at a time that isn't going to be interrupted and is going to be most accessible to players. Okay. Tsudin, do you have like some sort of... Oh, your nightmare is no one showing up, right?
Oh yeah, that's pretty much.
Do you have a realistic kind of like worry or concern when the show's actually happening that you're gonna freak out about?
Well, we did actually have somebody. We actually had a major rehearsal back when Kotaku, the writer from Kotaku, was doing an article about us, and she wanted to watch one of our rehearsals, and we had someone not show up. We didn't know what would happen. We were worried that maybe there's an accident or something. Because when something like that happens, it's like, okay, he was here yesterday. He knew about this. He knew that the Kotaku article was this was part of the Kotaku article. Blah 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 blah. It's like, are they okay? your brain just goes a million miles an hour. But that's probably like. Aside from the maintenance thing, because the maintenance thing is a big thing too, because coordinating the schedules of 16 people in different time zones is already a big issue with enough notice. But
so I guess a question, do you guys have like some sort of chat platform or some sort of way of communication between everybody involved that you can just link them all together outside of video game?
Yeah, we use Discord for a lot of that. We have several channels set up. There's an event staff channel, or volunteers rather, and then just our board channel, et cetera, in the lobby. And that's mainly where a lot of that stuff is communicated.
Do you require them all to put it on their phone? Discord, that is?
We ask them that. I mean, we'll work around if they have absolutely no way to. We ask that they, at least as a courtesy, listen if they are able to. If it's a situation, because Discord is multi-platform. You've got the web-based, you've got the app, you've got the smartphone app, and but if there's no way for them to use that, then we'll figure out a different channel of communication. For the show, we created parties. We paired full parties, 8 people each. So that way, everybody who needed, everybody had an ear in somehow to the conversation, regardless where they were. And then we also make sure we use Google spreadsheets a lot to, for like scheduling, notices, that sort of thing.
Okay. I was just wondering if you guys had like, if someone didn't show up, you had like some sort of a way to contact them. You were like, hey, what the hell's going on? and you can scream at them for a second. Because I have group me for my raid, and if I didn't have that, I would go insane. And everyone has to have it on their phone, because if someone just magically doesn't show up, I need a way to like say, hey, where are you? Why aren't you here? And you have a little bit less of an excuse for not responding to that. So.
Yeah, we're working, just because some of the blips we have with communication, even, you know, saying, hey, you know, here's the email, here's Skype, here's Discord, here is, you know, all sorts of ways to communicate with us. And even though those have fallen through sometimes. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing now is we are requiring for our future productions, any event volunteers, they have to submit some sort of like reliable form of communication. We're not going to restrict them to it, but we're going to let them choose that, because, you know, some people are comfortable saying, you know, oh, you know, here's my phone number, you can just text or call. Other people might be like Facebook only. We want them to, you know, be comfortable with that. And also, you know, we want to take measures to make sure that any of the information they give us is, you know, secure and it's only used in event of an emergency.
Okay. All right. Well, that kind of satisfies my curiosity for that. And with issues, you guys obviously are very fortunate at the moment, and in the future, I hope you guys don't have lots of issues. But it seems like you guys are pretty competent, and if you do have issues, you're gonna be able to fix it, or Wander will be able to fix it. Right? You got it.
One of us.
One of you guys will be able to fix it. So your most recent performance was a pretty big deal. It was really recognized by a lot of different people. Was it the most recognized performance you have ever had?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
By far. We got several big name retweets like, oh, look at what these people are doing. All the news articles. And, oh, we've never had anything like that before. It was mind-boggling to have such a jump in from the old little contest shows we were doing. Then suddenly, oh, here's 100 articles that we have done on us. We better make sure this is good.
So, out of curiosity, what did you do differently from what you do before? Did you just decide, hey, I'm actually going to go really hardcore in media advertising now, or was it just sudden and completely random?
I think it was a mix of both. I mean, this is our first major, you know, theatrical production, whereas our events in the past have been more, you know, focused on like our Halloween event, Lunatic Pandora. That was a guided haunted house tour. It was kind of a, you know, show up and have fun, and there's some giveaways involved. And then, you know, a lot of the events before that were contests and things like skit performances. Sometimes we would have like an exhibition where Sora actually, he did a number from Cabaret with his character doing a transformation macro with the lyrics. And so, you know, we would do things like that, or we would try and get the community together, and like our Kung Fu fighting video, which I thought that was like our peak, because I was like, oh, 7K views on YouTube. This is the best we'll ever be. But I think it's, with Canary, we took a huge step forward. We stepped out of the realm of saying, you know, we're going to do fun things for the community, and we said we're going to establish something for the community. We're going to do, you know, these theatrical productions. We're going to, you know, really try and push this beyond the game's limitations. And I think a lot of it was that, and just how much effort we put into it and how successful it was, that just gave us this momentum moving forward.
Okay.
I think it also helped that Canary was based off a Final Fantasy game. And because it's a Final Fantasy game that we're playing, there's going to be a lot of fans like, oh, I want to see how this came out. That sounds cool. Let me check it out.
Yeah, there is the nostalgia factor. We actually, I got a lot of messages from people saying that just before the show went up, Final Fantasy IX went half off on Steam, and a ton of people sent me messages being like, yeah, I just bought it because it's on sale and you're doing the show. So
there you go. Final Fantasy 14 Square Enix advertising in-game, free advertising for him. You should send a receipt, like you said, Sora. Send a receipt to him, and be like,
I'm still waiting. I'll take Yoshida giving us, you know, a high five or something. I'll take that.
Okay. Yeah.
We're still waiting for that.
It might happen, man.
Please look forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Please look forward to it. Did you guys go to FanFest in Las Vegas?
No, I didn't. I'm planning to go on 2018 if I can, but but yeah, just because law school and everything, and tight finances, so I wasn't able to go.
Yeah, he's out there. You're gonna high five him if you go to it. You're gonna high five him. I mean, it's done. It'd be awesome. The second awesome part of that is if you were wearing like a shirt that said a Stage Reborn. He's like, oh yeah, Stage Reborn. Then you just melt and you're done.
Oh, I have plans.
I gotcha. There's actually, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people he recognizes when he goes out there. He keeps an eye on the community. But he's also a very, very busy person, so you can't be really too offended if he doesn't know. So, okay. So the other question about planning is I kind of want to know, when you guys actually plan out a show, do you have a minimum length for how long you want the show to be? Like, do you say, hey, we can only do shows that are about 30 minutes long? Would you guys do like a 2-hour long show?
I would say, I mean, if there's a demand for it, we had a few players drop the idea of doing the entire Faust piece. Dr. Faustus and whatever. And that is a massive, massive show, but it would also be incredible, especially with things you could do in game. Like you've got the elegant floor pieces that do the special effects. You could do all sorts of things with, that. Mm-hmm. However, it would probably take a ridiculous amount of time and would probably do better as a video. But we kind of, we see how the community responds to things. I think we're pretty solidly set on anything live has to be around 20 to 30 minutes because that's around the point when you get people teleporting out or going AFK. Mm-hmm. But who knows what the future brings?
Okay. I would say that would be a wonderful idea to keep it in 30 minutes within that time range. I can't imagine Tsudin sitting there and not having very many blips, as you like to say, over a 2-hour period of lighting and music adjustments and everything else.
As long as there's only like one showing of it, I think I'll be good. But I will admit, like an hour and 45 minutes in, I may be dozing off.
Yeah, that's rough, man. It's rough keeping up for that long. And I think for Final Fantasy 14, like in what you guys are doing, 30 minutes is like a good bite-size, like manageable amount of time to do a show, and for players to absorb it.
Yeah, it's like a dungeon run.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, and so it's like completely good. But if you keep it up to like 2 hours, like you said, I can imagine people being like, well, time to go to dinner, or oh, I gotta go to the gym, or whatever, I got this hot date I gotta go and do. It's one of those situations where you have to make it something that players can accept. And just doing this podcast right now and doing it for the length I'm doing, I can't imagine everyone who watches the show watches the entire show. People are going to tune in and tune out, but I mean, that's how I just do it. I used to, when we had the show like a year ago, we would have 4 or 5 hour shows on some shows because we just keep asking questions and we just wouldn't run out of things to talk about. But I decided at some point I have to limit it to around 2 hours and don't go past 3 hours if it really gets there, because who's gonna want to watch it at that point, right?
It's really hard to like expect people to sit and pay attention to the content for like more than 2 hours. It starts to get to that point to where it's like, okay, I've been sitting down for 2 hours just listening to this or watching this. It's like it's time to stand up and do something. And I listen to a 3.5 hour podcast when I craft, and that, like, I'm crafting, I'm doing something, but it's like, especially if you're like sitting there having to give it like at least a majority of your attention, it really gets difficult.
Which I think is the benefit to having long podcasts too, is that they're only listening to it. They don't care as much about the visual aspect, although our show does have that. And you can see Sora moving his head around in his nice hat and everything. He seems like a person. It's great. Don't know who Wanderer or Tsudin is because we don't see their cameras up anywhere.
You can occasionally just like peek at my character and be like, oh, hey, yeah,
there you go. But I feel like it works as a really good audio platform for people to listen to. Like, again, I said, there's people who drive trucks who listen to the show and they wait for the show to come out. And he messages me on Twitter all the time. I love the guy. It's awesome because people actually come back and give you input on like every show. I'm like, holy crap, someone actually watches every show of what I do. I put out crap. I can't believe this guy is actually doing this. or at least that's how I usually feel about it. But the fact that I can do that and people will actually listen to the whole show, I'm really admired. Or not admired. That's a horrible thing. That just sounds super stuck up right there. I meant to say I really admire that people go out there and they actually put the time in to absorb this content. And I mean, you guys have had hundreds, up to, I guess you can say thousands, absorbing the content that you guys created live even. Not I guess it was like you said 800, right?
For in game,
Yeah,
it was about 400 each day in game, so 800 total. But then on the live stream, I think Twitch peaked at 647 and YouTube peaked at about 584, I think it was.
So yeah, thousands of people, watching the show, absorbing the content. I mean, how do you feel about thousands of people wanting to actually take in the content? Is it like a kind of like a rush? Is it kind of like, oh yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting? I put out really good shit. Is that kind of what you think, Wonder?
I wasn't expecting that at all, and I was extraordinarily happy with the turnout. And I just hope when we do our next shows that we have, I mean, I'm sure Tsudin and Sora, you were here, you were hearing me when I was all talking worriedly about the next shows, and I was just like, what if nothing is ever as good as Canary? Like, what if that was it? What if I do the opera and I get maybe like 60 viewers? I'm like, I engaged those people. And now I'm just like, I want to retain those people. So if anything, I'm more excited and also more worried.
Right. Now, I will tell you, you are going to have huge shows and then you'll have really small shows. And I mean, it's just part of performing. And maybe the next show people are like, oh, well, I saw the other one. Maybe I could sit this one out and watch it later on YouTube or something. It could be minimal. Trust me, that doesn't mean that people don't like what you're doing, Wonder. Just keep that in mind, okay?
Yeah, Wonder. 2010-5.
I was going to say, if I don't keep it in mind, I have a board of directors to keep it in my mind forcibly.
Beautiful, beautiful. Because you guys, again, do a really good job.
The actual stream stats from day one of Canary that I recorded. We had 645 Twitch viewers, and we had 132 YouTube viewers for the actual stream. It doesn't include all the people that watched it after the stream.
Right.
But yeah, so there was a good. The second day, not as much. I didn't keep track of it, but that first day, I was blown away by how much people we had on there. I could not believe it. I was like, oh, I got to write this down. So I did, and it's a very exciting thing to see.
Well, whatever you guys did for going out there with the social media, you guys do it again, because you guys did a really good job with that and keeping up with it. Because there's a lot of things behind just do. You could do the performance and no one will show up, and you could do a really good performance, but all the other stuff that you do in the background that makes people come to the performance, you guys did a really good job with that, and I would definitely commend you on doing it. And hopefully you do it again. Just don't be upset if you only have 500 people watching instead of 600 people watching, okay?
I think 500 would still be impressive, to be honest.
No,
I think
Go ahead.
I think anything more than, even if things never got as much momentum as they have, and I only had like 10 viewers, I'd still be happy as long as somebody's out there enjoying the content.
You're not an empty audience. That's just a bummer right there.
Yeah.
Hopefully it never happens.
Yeah, if you have some people out there absorbing the content, you're doing a good job. Because Final Fantasy XIV is not a huge community, especially with its creative side. It's pretty niche. It's smaller, and I think that you guys can retain that pretty well. So, all right. So, talking about that, I do want to talk a little bit about the future of A Stage Reborn. I'm sure you guys, how many shows do you have planned on paper? Like, you have a name for the show, or you have an idea for the show. How many of those do you have?
I don't know the answer to that question.
We have 3 shows planned on paper, and then, I guess technically the machinima is quote unquote planned on paper. We have a working title, and we're just working on how to split up the plot and the seasons, and pilots, just to make sure that it's worth putting the time and effort into continuing each season. But we have the three shows that are solidly down are the adaptation of the Final Fantasy VI opera, which we're calling The Story of Maria and Draco.
Okay.
Then we have an actual piece of theater that I've performed in real life before called The Worker by Walter Wykes. And it's kind of a dark comedy, but it's funny, it's enjoyable, and it's also relatable with the economy and jobs and things like that. I think people will enjoy it, hopefully. And then there's our third piece, which is called Primal Judgment, which is kind of a flashback and comedic retake of the 2.0 Primal fights.
Okay, that's actually, see, that's kind of an original piece of content that you guys are creating then.
Yep, that third one is completely, I mean, outside of the Final Fantasy 14 aspects of it. The writing itself is all completely original.
All right, well, that sounds like a really, really exciting piece of work to come up, because creating your own content like that is not easy. It's not like you're just the other shows, they take a lot of work to put into it, but then when you create your own work, I mean, it has to be like 10 times as much. I mean, not your own work, but your own story, your own writing to it. It takes 10 times as much work to go into it. Or am I just making up random crap and it's not as difficult as I think it is?
No, it is. I can even just add adapting plays like the Maria and Draco script. I put together a preliminary script, and at the same time as I was building the set, because you have to see how it's done in game, and you have to build a set that can utilize the work. And then you have to go back to the script and say, okay, well, now I have to put in orchestrion music. Now I have to figure out player exits and entrances. And now I have to look at, will these scenes work? And then you have to look back at the game and go, okay, this scene has to be changed because, maybe I can't have an exit at a certain part of the stage that the script I wrote has. So you do this back and forth, and you come up with all these revisions before you finally get to this final product. And a lot of people see me sitting in my mansion in game, and a lot of the time I'm like just running around testing out, if a character exits this place and does this scene, where do they have to go for the entire script? Mm-hmm. And I'll do that, and I'll continue to rework the script until I have something that doesn't have any issues. Mm-hmm. And of course, then in rehearsals, we find any issues that I didn't catch and have to adapt with those. So it's a lot more work than, I've written stuff for undergrad. I took some playwriting related courses, and I've written and performed works, but doing it in a video game is completely different because it's much more fluid. So
yeah, it's a completely different atmosphere. You're working with an environment that Square Enix created and not the real world, so it's a little bit different. I feel like you have more limitations within the video game than you would have in the real world, or am I just?
It's a double-edged sword. You do and you don't. All it takes is for Square Enix to release one item to completely change everything. The set for I Want to Be Your Canary was completely set. I was not going to change anything. And then they released the troop stages, which allowed me to remove 60 Oasis dining tables from the stage and replace them with 8 troop stages, which allowed me to just tweak the entire set into an even higher quality piece of work. Allowed me to create the VIP booth I set up for VIP players. It allowed me to do a lot of things. So
all right.
Hopefully they don't nerf anything, because then that could be troubling. But
nerfing, just the idea, the way it's termed is pretty funny. Nerfing, what would you call it? Stage props.
Yeah, or something maybe they'll be like, hey, we'll finally give you that housing item capacity increase, but those indirect lights, we're going to limit them to 1 in return. Or it just, the weird things they can do when they patch things. So that's one thing we have to always be concerned about, is what they're going to change that impacts us.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty funny. I didn't think of it like that, but that is a real thing. Thank you. I'm going to actually take that and enjoy that for the rest of the day. You don't realize that, but I will be.
And even going back to how you're saying how long some of these stuff takes to put together, the one song I did, my cabaret show, or my cabaret song, to get the costumes and the macros to line up perfectly and the vocals to line up perfectly. It took me about 24 hours to do just that one song. I didn't do it all in a row, of course, but but so even just something small like a 2-minute song can take forever to balance out. So there's a lot of time that goes into it, but it's time well spent once you get to the final product. And I was very proud of that macro, and I still have it and all the custom pieces to this day. If anyone ever wanted to.
Perfect. I mean, you can't throw it away, right? Because go get it back, because you're gonna do it again. When you have that situation where only one person is wanting to do a skit, you're just like, well, I guess I'm gonna redo my skit from Cabber. Tsudin, you've been kind of quiet here, so I'm gonna ask you a quick question. Tsudin, how many actual performances have you done besides not the lighting, just been up on stage and you've done any part of the performance?
Well, Canary's been our first actual show, and any event we've done afterwards. I mean, I did 2 roles in the haunted house.
Okay.
But prior to that, we mostly did the skit and costume contests, and I was always staff for those. So I've never actually been up on the stage.
Are you planning to be on the stage for any of these 3 or 4 future projects you guys have going on?
Nah, man. Sitting there staring at an orchestrion for half an hour is actually really calming.
You're forgetting one really important thing, Tsudin.
Uh-oh.
The bloody botanist.
Well, that was one of the... Oh, yeah, technically I do have to take care of certain other things as a part of that. Well, that was one of my roles in the haunted house.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if anyone watching the show or if you Frosty has seen it, but in October we did the haunted house, and the main antagonist of the haunted house was, once you got to the basement, this pumpkin-headed fiend comes out from behind a curtain and starts chasing all the visitors. Yeah, with a giant bloody axe, just starts chasing people out of the basement and up to the exit of the haunted house. And it was such a hit that we've just decided, oh, you know what, the bloody botanist may actually make a couple returns here and there. And if anyone here is interested in Easter eggs, the bloody botanist actually shows up 3 separate times in the Canary trailer. So go watch the Canary trailer and see if you can find him.
And is that you, basically?
On stage for the bows.
Yep. Okay.
I was also for every performance I came out on stage in the bloody botanist costume and did my bows.
Nice. So there you go.
look for the red coat and the pumpkin head in the Canary trailer 3 times. Post it in the comments. I'll thumb up it.
There you go. You guys have now gotten a little bit of insight on an Easter egg you probably completely overlooked, but now they'll recognize Tsudin as the bloody botanist that always shows up. All right. One more question about your future performances that I want to ask. So at least 3 of these 4 are video game related, right? And then there's one that's not video game related? Or am I just... Because I haven't heard of it, Wanderer. Am I right about that?
The piece, The Worker?
Yes.
Yeah, that is not video game related. That's a real, actual 1-act play. You could probably Google it and find it. It's available freely online, and it's a real piece about real people. And I don't know if you wanted me to give a bit of a summary about it.
No. The biggest question I have about it is, are you concerned, since it's not video game related, that it might not hit as well as the other content that you're going to be putting out?
I'm unsure. I mean, Sor had a good point before, how a lot of people could have been attracted to Canary because of the nostalgia factor. But I think, I had been working with a couple in-game actors on The Worker for a bit before we started rehearsals for Canary, and it's a good piece. It's got a lot, some comedy, some humor in it, some really good in-game little mechanics we threw in there. So it might not be as attractive to the community because it doesn't have that hook to it, but I still think it'll be successful nonetheless.
Okay. I'm interested to see it and see how it all turns out, because I like to see how the community kind of responds to different things that are going on. And I was extremely excited to see how well it went with Canary. I thought that was amazing how well the community responded to it. And I am interested to see how your progression goes on in the future. Do you guys, realistically, if you're thinking going in the future, are you aiming to keep every single day going up more and more? Or are you like expecting, okay, we have our big growth here, now we're going to go down a little bit, go back up, and kind of do this swervy thing? What's your expectation for all that wonder?
I would say, I mean, I don't really have an expectation as far as a following goes. I mean, it would be really awesome if our growth continued in this upward trend. It would really, it would be great if we were able to produce enough regular content to like reach Twitch partner status if we got that popular enough. But I mean, it all goes back to what is a Stage Reborn. A lot of people, when they ask, how we organize and run things, I tell them we run it like a nonprofit because we are very mission focused. Mm-hmm. And our mission will always come down to engaging the community in creativity and, educating, bringing the arts to them through video games as a platform. And that will always be our focus.
All right. That's a very good answer. And with that, I do want to go into a couple of questions a lot of the questions that actually were coming up were answered. So we have a couple of questions that haven't been answered that I would like to go over with you real quick. One, I talked to you a little bit before the show happened, so I kind of have an answer for this, but I figured we'd go ahead and ask it anyways. Nimhi wanted to know, do you guys have like any I'll ask the question exactly as they worded. Do you guys have plans or an idea how to deal with trolls that may come to try to ruin the show? Now that you guys are more popular in the community, I imagine this might be something that you guys get targeted with.
Yes, we do. And this could also be used as kind of like a word of warning to people. We have talked to the GM team before Canary. We, 2 different GMs on separate occasions, we brought it up. They also talked to their supervisors about it. And we said, hey, we've put a lot of work into this. We have, we're expecting a decent turnout, but we're worried that, it's the internet. It's a video game. People might come in and interrupt the show. What can we do? And their response was, if somebody interrupts the show, you can contact us and we will assist you. We would hate to see it go interrupted. So interpret that as you want. I can't say if, that's what they told us. So we're assuming that what they might do is if somebody like say during Canary trolled the show, hopped on stage and started, doing abilities and interrupting chat, everybody who's on the staff, they know how to, submit the GM calls and stuff and just say, hey, we're a Stage Reborn, this is happening. So we're assuming that they might pop in and just pull them to player jail for the rest of the performance.
Yeah, that's considered harassment.
So that's our, yeah. And so that's ultimately what I feel may happen and is our hope if something happens. Hopefully, it'll never come to that. We went 8 shows with a huge turnout with nobody doing that. So I have hope for it. But, we do make sure that we have that kind of like contingency plan, what if scenario.
Okay.
I think another thing too is the pressure that there's so many people there that if you hop up on stage and, kind of speaking a little out of line here, if you hop up on stage and start trolling the show, there's literally hundreds of people watching you that know that you're just some jackass now.
Right. I mean, that's a
lot
thing,
of
though.
social pressure too.
A lot of people, they feed off that. And so like they're like, oh yeah, hundreds of people are looking at me being awesome here. Ha ha ha! Look, I'm making fun of everything that's going on. I can do this. Life's easy. Kind of things. And so that's the thing that you kind of worry about sometimes. I mean, I have people come into the stream, especially on like big streams. Like they'll come in and they'll just sit there and do everything they can to harass. And if I didn't have my mods here, they'd probably still be coming and doing it. My channel does a pretty I guess strict kind of ban for life policy. It's like if you come up and it's obvious you're doing something that's completely like, hey, 100% asshole, doing this to get attention and do everything I can to try to ruin what's happening right now, you're just banned. And if they really cared to actually come back to the channel, I can talk to them and maybe unban them and give them a second chance. But I don't know. It's so far over 2 years of doing this, it's actually kind of smoothed out a little bit, and it hasn't been a big deal. You guys might have noticed not too many people have come to harass today. Maybe they want to. Maybe they'll come out. And now that I said that, yeah, but it's been pretty good. I think that after a while, and you're like going through this whole process, and even with what you guys are doing, you kind of have people coming in and they know what to expect. They know what happens if something goes wrong, and they know you can kind of comb out all of the crap that might actually happen, and in the future it's not really that big of a deal. And you have people there ready and prepared to handle it if a situation does happen, right? So, all right. So the other question we have from Nimhi here. So Canary and Maria Draco Opera, the actual in-game scenes are kind of thrown about and kind of short. Do you guys have a lot of writing in between the scenes that sort of make it more cohesive and make it a little bit longer that you guys do when you're in?
Yeah, with Canary, it was a lot easier because basically the full play of Canary was there. You just had to switch the scenes around. With the opera, it's not there. So what we do is we, like I said before, a lot goes into research. And what I've been doing these past few months is even while Canary was going on, during my downtime on that, I would be working on this. I go in and I kind of I look up the lore. I look at the gameplay. I look at the characters, how the scenes are. I look at some of the fan works. And wherever there's a gap to fill, I start writing. So with I could probably talk a little bit about the script for the Final Fantasy VI piece. For example, in the game, it starts out with Draco. He's already out fighting the war, and he's singing about Maria. There's no real backstory besides Impresario, who does narrative. And so we're adding some before that to give context. It's a very Romeo and Juliet story. So we're giving this context of, that Draco, Rouse calls him insolent rogue, Knave of the Western Horde when he comes out. So that earlier on in whatever the plot is, that Draco went from being this thief to maybe some hero for his people. And so we're taking that and writing a little bit to explain that more in the beginning scenes before getting to the actual game scenes. So a lot of research and that goes into it, and we just do our best to create a holistic, full version of these works.
Okay. And do you mainly do all that, Wander, or do you have other people helping you with that writing?
So far, it's just been me doing that. But like I said, with other aspects like costumes and whatnot, in the future, we'll be expanding that. Like the Mishima, for example, that is right now, me and another person are completely co-writing that. I'm taking more of a producer angle on it. So, I'm not the main one writing the plot. So, but for the most recent stuff, yeah, it's mostly been me.
Okay. Tsudin, you going to step up and start writing soon?
I already have, actually.
Well, then there you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Sora?
I've proposed an event to our board. I can't really talk too much about it because it hasn't been approved, but there is some writing that's going to be needed to be involved. It's more mystery-esque writing, which I'm hoping to take care of. I've never written a mystery before, so that'll be quite interesting if it passes the motion. But
it's actually kind of interesting hearing you guys talk about all these different things that you're doing for the future too. So, I mean, right now, do you guys feel like the future of a Stage Reborn is like extremely strong, and you have tons of stuff that's coming in that you're not going to run out of things to do?
Yeah,
I would say so.
Yeah, we're not going to run out of things to do. There's
we're always looking for new ideas anyways. We even have a forum on our website for people to submit their own ideas and have it get voted on, and then maybe not, we'll put it on for them. Maybe make their dream come true. Who knows?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So you guys are going to be around forever, right? As long as the game's up and servers are up. All right, I'll say it a little bit differently. You guys are around for the foreseeable future.
Absolutely.
Yep.
If anything, we'll be around for the foreseeable future and beyond. And we are looking at expanding. So over time there will be new creative fun things that pop up. Not necessarily Final Fantasy 14, but basically, I mean, this is something that not only this community can benefit from, but a lot of communities. A lot of people have reached out to me about what we do, and they like it. They say it's a good thing. They think it's needed, and we're going to pursue that.
Well, I think you guys, again, I said this multiple times, but you guys are doing an amazing job. And please, keep it up. Don't get discouraged at any point, even if you guys have a drought and then you have just those 10 people watching you. You guys are doing an absolutely great job, and don't go anywhere. Let me know every single time you guys are going to do a performance. If you don't mind, can I get on like a list of people that you email out and you're just like, hey, we got this going on, just so I can see that happening and try to promote it any way I can?
You can join just if you'd like. We do post public news announcements to that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, our Discord server is completely public. It's anybody can join it. You don't even need to have and I mean we use like automod stuff, but you don't even need to have an email. You can use a guest account even just to join it. And there's I think near 200 people on there now. But it's one of the easiest ways to keep in touch with us about stuff. Twitter, I put everything on Twitter, which relays to Facebook. Tumblr, I try to update with stuff regular. We're on like everything for social media, and where I'm currently, I need to work some of the scripting and whatnot, but I'm making a official mailing list. So that way people can get, actual notices of shows and stuff and things like, instructions. Because we have a lot of people that don't play the game that want to like, try out the game, or, maybe they've never made an alt before and they want to know how to do that. So just something we can send out that says, here's our upcoming show, here's how to get into the game, how to join the server, and that you want to do it in advance, because, we had a lot of messages come in saying that the server was full, so they'd have to watch online. So,
so get that alt on Diablos in now, Frosty.
Yeah, well, I have one, but he's in Limna. He's level 1, so now I got to level 15. And then I can go over there.
You just have to touch... touch 2 Aetherites. I'll put you in the free company on the VIP rank, and you'll be able to just, teleport in. We'll give you a guild for teleporting if you need and whatnot.
There you go. I'm done.
Many people already.
That's awesome. All right, so now I know, and we're gonna get that done.
And just some numbers. We do have 83 people online in the Discord server right now. I just counted them real quick. So it's a very... They don't always talk, but there are a lot of people on there trying to keep track of what we're doing. And we do have our occasional people that are always talking, but
yeah.
And it's not just a Discord that's solely about a Stage Reborn. It's like a Stage Reborn topics and only a Stage Reborn topics. It's public. If you want to go on there, you want to hang out, you want to party, run some content, you want to get a raid going on, go for it. We've got plenty of chat channels set up for that. We've got some text channels set up for that.
Wonder if I give you a permit on Twitch channel, on the Twitch chat, do you think you could just post all your social media in there? Or it's all Stage Reborn, right?
Yeah, it's all literally every link is a Stage Reborn. So. Okay.
And then they can go out there and they can dive deep into all of your Stage Reborn media from going to 1. I'm sure you have it kind of linked on all your, like if you go to your Twitter, you have all your links in there.
You can actually you can go to our website, which is astagereborn.com, and we have everything linked in there. There's a social media bar at the bottom of the page. It has literally everything. And then also in our I think it's the contact us section. In the contact us section, it also has the link to the Discord, as well as like the event volunteer form, the suggestion box if you want to ask our help for an event or suggest something or show to us.
Okay. I'm gonna permit you anyways. You don't have to link anything, but just in case you did get the urge to do it, because I think that pretty much gets it. They just have to go to your website www.stagereborn.com and they're golden. There you go. Done. So
don't forget to toss in that volunteer link too.
Yeah, the volunteer link. Okay. All right. So before we end up the show, there's a couple of things that do do you have something for the people who will be coming to your future shows, things that they should know before they're coming that would maybe make their experience a little bit better? Just real quick, if you want to throw that out there.
Join the free company. Literally, we have 512 spaces for capacity for free companies, and we specifically set up this free company for patrons, visitors. You're not joining it, it's not like a real free company. I mean, we do free company stuff, but when you join it, we give you access to like the crystal tab. We give you free glamours. You just have to touch 2 aetherites and you can teleport there. And we're really open about it. Some people level up alts because they're like, why not? I'm paying this subscription fee anyway. And every subscription level allows you to create level 1 alts on different servers. So get your money's worth out of the game. And it's definitely an experience to view things live. So.
And also the free company house is literally right next door to the theater. So you can just go down the hill. There you're at. There's the theater.
We have so much in that ward too. We own like 40% of the ward. So we have things like a jump maze obstacle course. We have all sorts of different stages and event places. Like it's kind of like going to Disneyland. Like it's just it is worth it. So get an alt in there, join the free company, teleport to the area, and just enjoy the place.
That sounds like
even have a cafe.
Is expect lines for large events. Try to be nice and stay in line. It was okay with Canary. We had a good line. People tended to stay to the line, but it's because, like we said, there's a housing limit. If we have any more than that limit, either you're not going to be able to get into the house, or people are going to disappear off the stage, like actors. So right. I don't think you want that to happen. So just be patient. We'll get to you. We'll try to get to you as soon as we can.
Right.
Just don't cut the line, because there's a lot of people that have been there for hours just waiting to get in.
That's an important thing. It's hard to control that stuff in a video game. Really hard to control that stuff. And I'm amazed you guys were able to do that. People must have actual respect for you if they're actually staying and waiting in the line and are not just BSing around. So props to that. Okay, so before we leave, also, I want to make sure that you guys all have a shout out that you do to whatever you want to shout out, whether it's your grandma, your dog, or a friend in game. Go ahead and do it. And Tsudin, I'm going to start with you, dude. Do you have shout outs that you want to do to anybody?
Oh, all the pressure. Yeah, I've got like a ton.
Do it. Do all of them.
I stream every Friday at twitch.tv/Skyn. I mostly play Final Fantasy games. That's kind of becoming kind of a somewhat official Stage Reborn thing. So if you follow Stage Reborn, you'll probably see me getting hosted during that time. And also I want to give a shout out to Haseo and Luna for watching, and also my friend Adidas for watching as well. Thanks for taking the time to get our interview going.
All right. And then, is that it? That sounded like that was kind of mild, man. I thought you were going to keep going for like 20 minutes. All right.
Sorry about
All right, we'll go to Sora. Sora, what kind of shout-outs you want to do, dude?
I'd like to make a shout-out to our Discord chat server. We have a bunch of lovely people in there. And our Patreons that support a Stage Reborn, our FC members, basically all the overwhelming support we get from the community. It's wonderful. I love to see it. We all love to see it. And then I also would shout out to my family, but they're not really into the gaming thing. Like when I told them about this, they're like, huh? but they understand, which is nice. And I thank them for that. If they happen to decide to watch this or not, who knows?
Real quick, before I go to you, Wonder, I do want to ask that question. How do you explain to your family and friends that don't know Final Fantasy XIV about kind of what you're doing?
I sort of explain it the same way, when you asked me to explain what is a Stage Reborn. I'm very candid and honest with them. My entire family knows about it. My law professors, they know about it. I've actually written about Final Fantasy XIV streaming communities and the Creative Stage Reborn community as a handful of papers for my law classes, which have all gotten A's. I just tell them what it is. And if they don't know what the game is, then, I try not to use game-specific terms, but I just tell them, we're doing theater in a video game. And we're kind of pioneering a new era with it, I guess.
What's the reaction?
A lot of support. I mean, I've been met with some people who are a little confused, but I mean, overwhelmingly, it's been really positive responses from, I mean, one of my professors is absolutely ecstatic about what we do. And you know, he's actually gone in and he's watched our videos and things like that. And you know, and I actually have peers of mine from the law school that are really interested. They don't play the game, but they want to help out. They want to be involved. Huh. And I mean, I could go on hours about like legal issues with copyright and trademark and streaming and content producers and stuff. But you know, it's a lot of what I do here. It's not just about this game and this community. It ties into, you know, a lot of what I do in life, where my legal career is going. And so I think that makes it a lot easier for me to explain to people, at least.
Okay. Sora, Tsudin, are you guys same kind of reactions? All usually just turn out positive and no feedback at all? It's just like, what?
Yeah, my parents are basically, they accept it, they understand it, they don't really ask much about it. So I tell them like, oh, like Ted, like I told you earlier before the show, I told them I had an interview today, and they're like, oh, okay. So let me leave early from visiting, and but
nice.
So it's been supportive. They don't really care too much, but they like the fact that I'm being social somewhere, because they're pretty convinced I'm completely antisocial and will be forever. So they're
Which
glad
is
to see
actually
I'm
very
trying to do
opposite right
something.
now. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Tsudin?
It's mostly been like just really positive support. Like even people who don't like completely understand it, when I like kind of explain it, like, oh, you know, we promote creativity and so on and so forth, they're like, oh, that's really cool. Like, especially my mother, who's like part of another non-profit organization, the Lions Club. She's like, oh yeah, no, that's cool, and it's like a whole bunch of support from her, of course.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I get that too when I talk about MogTalk to friends and stuff. I'm just like, yeah, that's what I do. And they're like, oh, that's so awesome. Like, I don't think it's that awesome. I appreciate the support, but it's just weird thinking about it because that's just not a conversation that you can really imagine happening ever. And I'm sorry to completely derail the shout-out train there right before we got to you, Wander. But it was...
oh, no, it's fine.
It was a question I wanted to ask, and I completely forgot to, so I made sure to get it in there. Wander, are there any shout-outs you want to do, dude?
Yeah, there's bunch. Well, not a bunch, but a reasonable bunch.
Okay, okay.
Specifically, you know, to, of course, the 813 subscribers on YouTube, the 648 followers on Twitch. You know, I know it's just a number, but those are people who clicking that button says that we're doing something right, and that is important to me. And then I really want to shout out to the people who kind of made everything happen with Canary.
Yeah.
Get list up here. Sorry.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
So, Wooly Woolwine, Ruyo, Daniel O'Rourke, Zitra Lunrise, Rix US, Garaya Cassia, Levi Tallstag. I'm probably mispronouncing some of these names. Rael Kiever, Zainava Kitani, Lulu Guardian, Tsudin Everest, Dino Dexy, Kara Villain, Aizen Nakamura, and Soaranzia, because of course you were there too. I need to add you into because you showed up as last minute usher. I need you to fix that. And anybody I missed, everybody who was there, all the audience members that were there, thank you.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
I guess I need to give a last minute shout out to Wander then, because like without him this wouldn't be possible. So a shout out to Wander.
Yeah, definite shout out to you, dude. Like, it's absolutely amazing that you're able to just kind of build this community up and make this stuff actually happen. There's not a lot of people who will stick to that. A lot of people have ideas and they try it for a day or two and then they just stop. So,
thank you.
Yeah, man. I want to thank also everyone that's watching the show today. Thank you guys for showing up and sticking around. Again, I know some people who watch the show kind of expect like raid content when they come to the show, but you guys are absolutely amazing for coming out here and watching us. Because, you know, with MogTalk, I don't want to just explore one faucet of the community. There's tons of things. There's tons of things in the game. Like, this is actually really incredible. Moogle Post, when we talked to them, they're really incredible. There's so much more than just ratings to the game, and I really want to make sure that we hit all of it. Because Final Fantasy XIV is a game that is kind of unique in that way, where there's lots of people who go out there and support playing the MMO and being together instead of just going in and playing and killing a couple bosses real quick and logging off. So thank you
Real
guys.
quick shout out to Moogle Post if they're still on the chat.
Yeah, those guys are absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and yep, sorry, I was gonna say the Moogle Post and the Crucible too. The Crucible is amazing. I love their work, and they were fantastic.
Yeah, you know, I'm starting to hear about them a little bit too. They're kind of like a tabloid, right? Final Fantasy XIV tabloid.
Oh yeah,
that's amazing. That's really crazy. That, you know, who else does that stuff for other MMOs? I'm sure it's there, and I would have to search really hard, but like it's not nearly as apparent to me as this stuff is. I guess that's because I'm in the Final Fantasy XIV community, but I think it's absolutely amazing that anyone is encouraged to do all that. But yeah, thank you guys all for watching today. Thank you, Kerr, for being in the chat, helping moderate. Thank you all my mods, actually, for helping moderate the show today. All the people that helped asking questions, Kerr for collecting the questions, Blizzana for helping with the artwork for the show, the layout, and everything else that we have, the Moogle icon that we got. And Andre Kane, who barely knows what the show is, but allows me to use all of his acoustic reworks of Final Fantasy XIV music for the show. And for next week, MogTalk is kind of pending the show. I will be announcing that on Twitter and in our Discord. If you guys are interested in that, please go ahead and follow it so you can make sure you know what's going to happen next week. There's a couple different things that could be going on that's in the works, but I want to make sure it's nailed down before I can officially announce it. Any last words from you guys?
I'd just like to make a final shout out to you, Frosty, for having us here today. We appreciate
yeah, thank you.
You like to put the publicity. We do appreciate what everyone does for us.
Of course, man.
Thank you for having us.
If you guys are interesting in any way, then you get on the show. So you guys are interesting. You guys feel like you're interesting now? I hope so, because you guys are. Otherwise, I couldn't have been asking you questions for the last 2 hours. So take that for what it's worth. Guys,
Soaranzia beat me to it. I was gonna say thanks for having us, Frosty.
Of course. Wander, I'm waiting.
There are no words to express my gratitude for having us today. It is absolutely, and this is not a canned speech. I want to disclaim, this is not a canned speech. I truly appreciate it when members of the community, you know, yourself, you reach out and say, you know, hey, let's talk about what you do, because, you know, it's important. And I do tune into your stream, probably not as frequently as I should, but, you know, it's,
if I don't see a Stage Reborn, like, talking in chat, I'm going to be like, fuck this guy.
And just delete the VOD.
Yeah.
The episode never happened. They don't watch us enough.
Yeah, we're done with this. No, man. I appreciate you guys completely coming on. It meant a lot that you guys would come on and do this stuff with me. Because without you guys, I wouldn't have this show today. And I feel like this is a show that people should be watching and listening to. But, again, thank you guys, everyone, for watching. We are going to go ahead and finish up the show here, and I'll let you guys, everyone, know on Twitter when we'll be doing our next show. It'll be the same time, but I'll let you know what we're doing on the show next week. We are getting close to the 100th episode in 2 months. I don't know if you guys remember, the people who have watched the show for a while, the 100th episode where we did, 9-hour show, 9 one-hour segments of shows in a row. It could be similar to that. We could have a crazy extravaganza of shows that will go on, but that's all being in the works, and we'll probably start getting more details on that coming up soon too. We do need to host somebody before we leave, and I always want the guest to tell me who the host, because then I don't feel bad if I don't host a friend or something like that, and you guys are responsible for all of it. Come on.
You're really putting us on the spot here,
putting
man.
me on the spot. You gotta host. You gotta host somebody. You gotta tell me who to host, or it won't matter at all. Come on.
Tsudin, you pick.
Tsudin is all you do.
Oh my god, all the question.
Tsudin, you gotta pick who's gonna host.
Epic Name Bro. He's playing Final Fantasy VIII.
Epic Name Bro?
Epic name, bro.
Epic name, bro. Okay. Put it in Skype just to make sure that I'm not going to misspell. I'm pretty sure I know how to spell it, but just in case. All right, epic name, bro. All right, guys, we're going to host him. He's playing Final Fantasy VIII right now. Again, I appreciate you all coming to the show. Before we leave, we got to do our awkward waving. Even if you don't have cameras on, I'm expecting you guys to be doing this. So,
I'm
guys,
doing it.
All right, thank you all for watching. I appreciate you guys, and we will see you next time. Until then, be good, keep cool, and stay frosty.
I'm Manderville dancing.
Perfect.